Hey, good morning. Thanks for joining me. Yes, I'm 24 hours late, but we decided last minute that we were going to go and have a day in Universal. So, me and my son went out and had an awesome day. We spent 11 hours there, walked 7 miles, and made some awesome memories. So, a little bit late, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Being in business takes a lot of hours and a lot of work. So, when I had that opportunity to go and spend the day with my child, I decided to jump and make that happen. So today we are talking about scope creep. So we are here to help you set client boundaries to help you to avoid that. I'm going to talk about how it's affecting your profit margins and time management, and how construction and service-based based companies, business owners are burned out by allowing this just to take over so much of their business. So what you need to know is that you can easily set boundaries without your clients making them feel that it's their fault. So my name is Kerry Postal. I am the owner of Abacus Business Solutions, and we help business owners know, understand, and trust their numbers. We have been serving construction and service-based businesses for over 10 years, and we can see how much scope creep can affect a business's profit margins and how that you can remedy that situation as well. So let's jump straight in. So this may hurt a little bit, but I'll need you to hear this loud and clear, that the way that people treat you, the way that people take advantage of you, the way that people overstep their boundaries are only a reflection of what you give them permission to do. So I know that sounds a little harsh, but think about it. If you're allowing people to do that, you're allowing them. That's what it comes down to. It's not them forcing you. You are following through and just letting it happen. So most of us are not used to creating boundaries because we've either never been conditioned to do that, or we've worked in environments where we were always conditioned just to follow orders and do what we were asked to do. But it's really important that when you have your business, that your own business, that you start creating those boundaries and that you start doing that now. So do you ever find yourself in a position where people call you at all hours, in the evenings after 5 p.m., they call you on the weekends, they expect you to respond super quickly. I mean, maybe they send you an email, then they send you a text message. Hey, did you get my email? Within minutes before giving you even a chance. And it's 6 o'clock at night. And then, people then expect you to go above and beyond and do those crazy tasks that are completely out of scope more than one time and aren't even in contract with what they're paying you to do. So just think about all those different things. How often does that happen to you? And be honest, because it's something that does happen to so many of us and we avoid it. And I'm just as guilty as the rest of you. It's something that I have to keep check on with myself as well and our team. It's something we're talking about all the time is scope creep. And is it something that, we are doing that we haven't been contracted to do? I'm telling my team, do not answer your phone after 5 p.m. Do not respond to emails after 5 p.m. We don't want clients thinking that, we're on that beck and call. And it's the same for you as well in your business. Now, yes, you might be in a business where there might be an emergency. But if that's the case, for example, if you're in your HVAC, plumbing, electrical, then there might be that kind of emergency that somebody's got, something leaking at 8 o'clock at night and they need help. But you're going to have your business set up to handle that. You're going to have a call center set up. You're going to have a system and a process to handle that. And that's different because they're not calling you as the business owner. They're going through the system that you have. But there's many businesses that a client's emergency is not your urgency, and that's something you have to remember. Something we actually did was we actually printed that out and have it on the wall in our office to remind people that there's no emergency out there for the most part that needs you to jump on that straight away. And if there is, then it's going to get handled differently. So have you ever told clients like when and how frequently you check messages? Have you ever told them that something was completely out of scope from the original agreement, the original contract? And then have you ever set those boundaries with people? How clear are you with your contracts as to what is included and what isn't included? Have you told your clients how often you're going to check your emails, how often you're going to check your text messages and so forth? One thing that we do here at Abacus is we work on clients' files on certain days of the week. So that, one particular client, we've told them that, hey, we work on your file on Wednesdays. And they love that because now she knows that, okay, every Wednesday, our focus is on her file. So if she has questions or if we've asked her for information, she knows that she has to get that back to us by a Wednesday. So that's been a huge win for her and a huge win for us. if you're not setting these boundaries, and if you're answering the call, you're doing extra work, and just, things go on and on that way, and for every client, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to think it's too late to make an adjustment. But, you're not stuck. You can backtrack very tactfully where you maintain that mutual respect and keep your client. That's if you want to keep the client. There may be some instances where, they're just, calling at all hours, and maybe that's not the ideal client, but that's a whole nother conversation. So this is how you reset the boundaries. You take ownership, okay? You need to own this. And so you can say, that when you started this working together, this was our agreement, and this can be, about, adding on work and how that process is. If you're in construction, that becomes a change order. You talk about, taking calls outside of business hours or anything else that can cause scope creep in your business. And so, you want to make sure, that you're letting your client know, hey, I don't schedule calls outside of work hours. Schedule calls within the specific hours so that they know this is when, the time is for you to talk. So once you've taken ownership of that situation, then you can redirect. So then you can say, okay, moving forward, in order to make sure that, I can support you in the best possible way that I can, I'm going to need you to schedule calls with me through my calendar link during my office hours. And I can't just, answer calls, whenever you call in. And just, they're going to understand that. And then, a lot of the time you can relay that back to their business as how would this work if this is what happened in your business? And they're probably going to realize the same thing. Oh, shoot, yes, I allow my clients to do that as well. So it's going to be probably something that's going to, have that effect that, oh, yeah, I do that as well. Now, if you're working, in construction and you're dealing with, homeowners, then that's a little bit different, but it still might resonate with them in one way or another. So by responding in that way, using a calendar link, you've just eliminated that issue of people texting and expecting a response right away. Get them into that thinking that, okay, she's not just going to jump on it as soon as I send a message. And if that's what they're expecting, then that's okay. The faster that you can communicate these things and the more frequently that you communicate with them, the better you'll be. So it's team members, it's clients, it's friends, it's all relationships when it comes down to it. So, just make sure that, you're setting those expectations, and then that way people aren't going to be disappointed. If what someone is asking you to do is not part of the current package or the current contract and scope that they're on, then you need to discuss, a different package or doing a change order to then be able to add that extra work. And, just frame it, hey, this isn't part of, the original contract that we had in place. It seems to me like, you're needing this kind of support, or that, you've got all these different aspects of the job that need to be done, and that's okay. I'm working hard to accommodate you, but it seems like, there needs to be, some additional changes made to the contract. I want to work with you. So moving forward, let's do it this way instead. And then to offer to jump on a phone call, talk it all through, figure out, if it's a service-based industry you're in, what support do they need? What help, guidance do they need? If it's construction, then try and find out, okay, what areas of additional project work do you need done in your home? And let's go through that. Let's make a note of it. And then I can put together an additional estimate and then create a change order. It's not fair to you, your team, or your profits if you continue to do to do work for less than what you're actually worth. So you've got to make sure that you're not just giving away all these free services, all this free, change orders. And even if you think with a change order, oh, well, it was just a small little project. Well, that small little project on this job and this job and this job and this job is going to add up really, really quick. And you're suddenly going to realize that over time, I'm not making, anywhere near the margins that I'm supposed to be making. So you need to be thinking on how much time on average, is this costing you if you're in service business? If you're in construction, how much extra time is that costing you on creating all those change orders? Maybe you need to have a conversation of like, hey, you seem to be adding lots of little things. Is it possible we can sit down and we can just do a brainstorm of everything you want to add on as well? So you've got to think about the cost impact on that, on when it comes down to doing that additional work and how that's going to affect your bottom line. So just to recap, whenever you're wondering, why a client is treating you a certain way, that it's, always your fault, which is a great way, by the way, because if it's your fault, then you can fix it. So, you've allowed that to happen. So it is technically your fault. I know that sounds harsh, but that's what it is. You're allowing it. You don't stop it. It's going to keep going on because the client isn't going to think there's anything wrong with it. So you have the ability to adjust that boundary. You have the ability to take ownership and do something different. And if it is something that's completely out of scope, then start over with a new deal and a new contract, and make sure you're all on the same page going forward with the same expectations. And that way nobody's going to get upset, nobody's going to feel like you're ignoring them. You've just got to make sure that at the end of the day your profit margins are where they need to be, that you are not doing work that you're not being paid for, and that everybody agrees with what has to be done. So if this is something that you need to take action of, which it probably is, and it might be in different levels of like, okay, this is a small issue we have, or like, no, this is a major issue in our company that happens all the time. And if you need support on this, then feel free to comment below with next steps, and I'll reach out to you. We can set up a time using my calendar link, so you can get on my calendar, and then we can chat about how we can support you in this, and how we can figure out how much is scope creep actually affecting your business. Also, if there was a business friend or a family member that needs some support on this as well, then please go ahead and share this video as well. Help us to get the word out there that we're here to help people, help business owners to know, understand, and trust their numbers and grow their business to the next level. Because at the end of the day, you started your business to be profitable, just like the rest of us. So don't let scope creep take away that profit and eat into those profit margins.